Okay. I kind of regret being the last one up here because as they went through their presentations, I'm going to repeat everything they said. I was actually getting quite annoyed because I shared some slides with these guys yesterday. I thought, they've just copied everything. I'm quite disappointed.
That's all right, it's just cement in our minds.
That's what it's all about. So what I'm going to just talk about today is how we in Aptuit used inbound marketing and some of the approaches we took to get there and the results that came from it. So what I'm going to talk about today is just set the scene, who we are, the problems we had and the challenges we faced. We'll talk a little bit about what we used to do. We talk about the traditional marketing, the how and why we changed to inbound marketing. I'll touch a little bit on how we've worked with Biostrata, Hubspot, and then we'll look at some of the results that have come out of all of this. Okay, firstly, I'm Jim Regan. I've been in the life sciences industry for about 20 years now. Most of that time was spent at Hunted Life Sciences, which is now in Vigo. That was my name, I came up with that. So, I started there as a regulatory affairs officer in chemical, industrial chemicals and agrochemicals before moving into marketing, and I've been there in marketing since then. I recently joined Aptuit just short of 2 years ago. Aptuit are, if you guys don't know them, they're a contract research organisation. We serve biotech firms, pharma firms, from the size of AZ, GSK, all the way down to small two-man virtual companies all over the world. We're based primarily in Italy, in Verona. I'm lucky enough I get to spend about a week, 2 weeks every single month in Verona. Terrible place, horrible. Don't go there. We're also based in Oxford, in the UK. In Verona, we've got about 550 people. In Oxford, we've got about another 150 people. And just for the purposes of transparency as well, as you know, we work with Biostrata. I've done for a short while now. And I've got a good relationship with Hubspot. I've spoken expert panels for those guys and been across to Boston and Dublin to meet them. So I am slightly biased with them, but for good reason, apart from this guy here. So one of the problems that we had, Aptuit have gone through many different forms in its lifetime. We grew through natural organic growth, but we also went through an acquisition period as well. So we went from a small company to a company that had 30, 40 sites all around the world, doing all different things, from contract research through to everything. I mean, we did packaging all over the place. But as time went on, the company started to streamline and become more focused on its core services, which is drug discovery, CMC, IND enabling programs, that kind of thing. During this time, for some reason, and no one's at fault here, the marketing function also diminished. So as the company was changing, as what we offered changed, there was no one there to actually tell that story. So for a lot of people in the industry, Aptuit was still something that no longer was. And predominantly that was people saw it as a packaging company. And that's something that we'd left behind about 5-10 years before. But some people, and a lot of people actually still thought we were a packaging company. The other consequence is, because there's no one telling the story, the level of awareness of Aptuit dropped significantly as well. Outside of the people already knew us, and it sounds a silly thing to say, but people didn't know us. There wasn't even the word of mouth, there wasn't that awareness. Our visibility out there had just dropped massively. So when I came along, I knew that things had to change and we had some significant challenges. First one was people had to know that we existed. People had to know what we did. We had to establish ourselves as a leading CRO, get that perception from the industry away that we were something that we weren't. And very, very importantly, we had to generate leads. So what we used to do, and the method of marketing that was there in place before we came along, was your traditional outbound, traditional, I was looking for another word for it there, traditional marketing. It would be flyers, brochures, sales sheets, email blasts. I hate the word e-blast. So don't ever use the word e-blast, it's awful. It's your traditional interruptive, random kind of marketing. It's not measurable, and in our experience, it had limited success. This is to show you what was happening when we were doing traditional marketing. This is visits to our site over the space of a year. As you can see, pretty rubbish. Really, really flat, nothing happening. And this is the number of leads that we were generating through the website. And that's actually untrue. Right about here, we got a body in Verona who was able to collect business cards that we'd got from business trade events and put it into the CRM. So the actual number of leads we were getting through the website is this bit here. So again, nothing much. It's not doing anything. That's not to say we weren't selling anything. We've been very, very successful. We've got a really good sales team. I know you were saying you don't have a sales team back there, but we've got a really good sales team in the EU and the US. So even this poorly performing website didn't detract from what we were doing as a company. This here, that previous slide kind of showed you an overall thing. This drills into it a little bit better, and what Craig was showing. This is the poorly performing website. We get nothing from it. There's no organic traffic at all, you can see here. And everything else is performing very, very poorly. So we introduced the inbound marketing approach. We did a trial campaign starting November 2015, and you can see the immediate effect that it had. This is the immediate effect, and then the tail off as the campaign itself kind of came to a natural end, but you continue to get that residual lead generation from your materials. So that's what was happening, and that was the kind of level of success we were getting with the old traditional marketing. So we knew we had to do something because it wasn't working. Now, I'm lucky. This is actually the second company I've implemented both Hubspot and the inbound approach. So coming to Aptitude, it was a no-brainer for me. I knew exactly why, or exactly what I was going to do. It was going to be inbound. I was going to bring in Hubspot. But why did I choose inbound in my previous company? These guys have said it already, so I'm just going to reinforce it. People have changed the way they research products and services. People are far more, I always take it back to your own personal, how you act in your personal life. If you're going out to buy a TV, in the old days you would go into a shop and the sales guy would try and sell you the TV, they've got 20 off back in there, rather than something that's good for you. Whereas today, you're going to go on the website, you're going to go on the Samsung website, you're going to learn all about that particular QLED TV. You're eventually going to go to the shop to buy it. You know the size you want, you know the resolution you want the smart TV, how many ports, you know everything about it. When you go into the shop, the sales guy has got very, very little influence over you. All he can say is, yeah, we've got 10 in stock, and sell you it. He's not going to change your mind. So we had to change our marketing into that same kind of thing. People buying our services had already done all the research. They knew what we did, or believed what we did. So we had to create content. We had to put ourselves in that place where people were doing that research. We say that people don't get involved with salespeople until later on. They're doing all that stuff beforehand. So we have to be there. We have to be in those places that they're going to look for that information. So that's why we changed. We knew we had to do what people were doing, and we had to parallel what they were doing. So first thing that we did in Huntington, sorry. I keep saying that, my old company. First thing we did in Aptitude was carry out a marketing audit. And that's both in materials and resources, and I think both of them are quite important together. Have a look at what you've already got. You mentioned earlier about how do you generate this stuff. Most of you have got lots of content already. Do a real in-depth audit of what you have. For us, for instance, we had loads of scientific posters. We'd published numerous papers. We'd done presentations at events. We'd written articles. All of these things were there. That was a shed load of content. And that's where that trial campaign came in, where you saw the numbers. That was from existing content. That's before these guys we even got involved with these guys. The other important thing you need to look at, do you have the resources in-house, the talent to create the content, the talent to write, publish, and lay out all of this content, and do you have basically the time to do it? For us, we knew we had the in-house talent scientifically. Our guys are amongst some of the best guys in the industry. Most of the people who work for us are ex-GSK, because actually we bought the site and they were all there, so they came with it. So we knew we had the in-house talent, the scientific talent. These guys knew what they were talking about, but very few of them were writers. I would say none of them were writers, and we certainly didn't have the time to do it. So what we did, actually, am I jumping the gun there? Yeah, I'll do that in a couple of minutes. The other thing that we did was looking at our website. You saw how badly our website was performing, and Craig mentioned it. Make sure your website is laid out logically. Make sure that people can navigate. Our previous website, when you landed on it, you had no idea what we did. Absolutely nothing at all. You had to drill down 3 pages before it told you any of our services. So we knew we had to get the website changed, and it was a perfect time to do it. We were going to implement a new marketing approach. Let's get the new website. And we built it with the customer in mind. The customer would come into the website. What do you do? It's the first thing they ask for. And when you go to our website, that's it. Straight across the top, 4 main areas of our expertise. Bang, you know what we do. So we rebuilt the website with the customer in mind, and also for our sales guys, because they moan about it. So we got all that. We knew that we had the people, but we didn't have the talent to write it. We knew we didn't have the time. We knew that we were going to have to build this. So we said, okay, we'll bring in some agencies. This is actually an interesting point. This is a good side note. It shows you how effective social media channels are, particularly LinkedIn. Claire, the other MD of Biostrata, she and myself linked together on LinkedIn maybe about 3.5 years ago. I had no need for an agency back then, but she shared some good stuff, so I connected with her. I don't think we talked or shared anything else in that intervening time. As soon as I needed an agency, I knew that she was on my network, so I reached out to her. She was one of the first people I reached out to, and before you know it, I'm putting up with these guys on a weekly basis. So what I want to talk about now is kind of about how we generate content, how we go about it. Raising awareness for us was one of our main challenges. So one of the things that we wanted to do straight away was create some content that was of general interest to people, but detailed enough that everybody from your intro level person all the way through to your CEO, CSO, had something in there that would be of level of interest to them. So we wanted to create something that would bring all those people in. So these guys here, we invited them out to Verona. You hated it, didn't you? Not come back since. So we invited them out, sat them in a room like this, with our experts, our drug discovery experts, and we had a full day of brainstorming. We'd gone into it with no thought of what we were going to get out at the end of it. All we knew was we had to create something that was of general interest and everybody could get something out of it. So we spent a whole day brainstorming. These guys learned about our customers. Our experts said, oh, if only our customers could do this, or this is what annoys them. And by the end of the day, we'd come up with a framework for an ebook. And we called that ebook the drug Discovery in the 21st Century. We repeated the exercise in Oxford. That wasn't as nice, was it?
The weather one.
No. We repeated that exercise and we came up with a guide to optimizing your API strategy. Great thing about these things is, as I say, you've got different levels of information in there, different depths of information. It helps establish your credentials. You're talking about stuff that you're experts in. Most important thing we do in there, though, is everybody has to get something from it. Even if it's only validating their own ideas, all the way through to, that's a golden nugget. I'm going to go away today and I'm going to start using that. So each of these things have to contain something like that, and it'll be different for everybody. These books, the first one was about 10 chapters, I think the second one was 8 chapters. We created blogs for each of them, and we created a social media calendar for each of them as well. And every one of them we made sure was optimized. So the ebooks were optimized, all the keywords we were after were in there. The blogs were all optimized, social media was optimized, email was optimized. Everything focused on our keywords and key phrases. But these are top of the funnel things, and these guys have mentioned it already. Your workflows, that's top of the funnel, you want to move people down. So we then had to create in-depth, middle of the funnel, more detailed, focused content. And these allow us to more fully demonstrate what we're good at, really focus down on our credentials. So the exercise we did there is, again, and unfortunately Craig didn't come this time, we got the far more pleasant Abby and Rich to come out to Verona. We actually did this over 3 separate, was it 3 days or 2 days? Can't recall, 2 days. Where we identified a bunch of experts in our company. And all you guys have got experts in your company. That's why people come to you, because you're good at what you do. We identified experts in the particular areas that we needed to raise awareness and focus attention on. And we gave them 90 minutes, 60 minutes to 90 minutes with these guys, sitting down in a room face to face, and said to them, okay, what are the challenges of your clients? Talk to us about your subject, your discipline, your area of expertise. Biostrata put together some questions beforehand so that we could get the conversation going along. But quite often, and you guys will know this because you work with these people, that tell us about your subject. 90 minutes later, you think, okay, you're going to have to stop because we've got someone else coming in. And that's what happened there. But what we did, this is why we do it this way. These guys are busy. These guys have got a lot to do. And in the normal run of things, if you ask one of our scientists to write a paper, he will agree or she will agree wholeheartedly, and they'll mean it. 6 months later, they still haven't done it because everything else gets in the way. Marketing's not revenue generating, we're doing this because the client wants it today. So what we said is, give us an hour of your time where you can just talk. Then we'll let Biostrata do all the heavy lifting. And that's where the benefit of working with the agency comes in. These guys would just go away and take, again, we didn't go into these meetings saying, this is going to be an article. We went into these meetings and say, talk to us, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do with that information. Again, all of this gets blogged, gets a social media calendar, it gets put onto our website. And I'll talk about the website in a little bit because I want to talk about HubSpot and how HubSpot helps us do this. But this repurposing of your content is massively important. Not everyone likes to read an article. Not everyone likes to watch a video. Not everybody likes an infographic. Take what you have and try and make as many things out of it as possible. If you do a webinar, take the transcript and make it into an article. If you've got a poster that's got a lot of data, pull out certain parts of data, make an infographic. If you've got an article, make it a webinar. Just work it all around. Oh, by the way, webinars are really, really powerful things if you do them properly. And a handy hint for everybody, GoToWebinar is probably the best platform that I've used. You can get it free if you do it properly. Use an email address, sign up for a free 30-day trial, you get everything on it. 30 days are up, use a different email address. You can have GoToWebinar for as long as you want. And that's another thing I meant to mention. Someone else, I think it was you who mentioned about creating content. How do you know what to create? HubSpot have got a good little tool in there, giving you ideas and hints about how to create blogs. I can't remember what it's called, but basically you go in, you put in like 5 keywords of that thing, and it'll just generate some titles to give you an idea of what to do. Just a handy little thing, and it'll help you come up with some ideas of content. So yeah, repurpose everything. Right? Don't be afraid to, there's no such thing as an original idea either. Steal, copy, whatever. Just repurpose everything and get it out there. Craig's already mentioned it. Chris mentioned it as well. Landing pages is where everything revolves around. That's where your content is going to be sitting. It's where people are going to encounter it. A really, really well-designed landing page can help convert massively. Guys mentioned it. They said design your pages right. Don't have any of your normal navigation around there. Don't distract the visitor from anything else apart from converting. Don't have your own home, contact us, anything. Get rid of that. You may have to keep your footer because that's where your legal stuff is. But don't put anything else on there. Focus on that piece of content and converting that person. Well-designed forms can help you convert as well. Our forms purposely ask for little information each time. These guys mentioned progressive profiling. HubSpot forms are very, very clever. You can set it up so it'll never ask the same question again. You should always have your name, email address. It just keeps everything together. But you can set it up so that you may ask company first time they visit, second time they visit. You can ask for country, you can ask for city, phone number, everything. It'll never ask that question again. So every time someone comes along, it just looks like a small form. They fill it in. It's fine. The other thing to think about when it comes to forms is your data. And your point was really, really good earlier. Your data is your online currency. If you're giving away something of high value, something that's really, really useful, you've got a right to ask for more currency. You've got a right to ask for more data. But if it's just a blog, you can't ask for anything. But if it's like an infographic, maybe an email address. So just think about what you're giving away, and you've got a right to ask for information before people can see that. People need to think of that in that sense. You've got the right to ask for the information. You've created it, you're giving it away. Okay. Where HubSpot really, really helps us as well is the scheduling. Someone over this side asked about automation earlier on, about Marketo and all those other platforms. Does all those things as well. Personally speaking, I've used Marketo, I've used Acton. I think HubSpot is the easier one to use. It's far, far more intuitive and logical to follow. We schedule our emails, our social media on there. When we schedule our social media, we can do LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+, Zing, Facebook, all in one panel. And we can schedule it all at the same time. We don't have to do a different panel for every single social media platform. It's all there in one place. You can schedule a week in advance, a month in advance, a year in advance. giving you time to go and chase your scientists and ask for more content. The other thing, we actually, and I'll touch on it just now, but we have built our website on Hubspot as well, and you can schedule your pages on Hubspot. So if we wanted to release a particular page or a particular module within the page, we can schedule that to only appear when it's meant to. So for talking sakes, if we've got an offer, we can have it on page X, but it'll only appear at 9 AM on Monday morning. So we can have done that 6 months in the past. So it really allows you to do that. Workflows on HubSpot are brilliant, really helps us as well. Not all leads are created equal, is a mantra I say to our salespeople. Not all leads are created equal. If someone comes onto your website and engages with drug discovery in the 21st century, doesn't mean they're ready to buy a fully integrated I&D program. They might just be interested in what drug discovery in the 21st century looks like. So what Workflows allows us to do then is, in combination with our forms, in our forms we are asking people what's your general area of interest and trying to get more information from them. Workflows allows us to say, okay, someone's downloaded this, we've put them into a bucket because of what they've told us about themselves. We can now start to nurture them and use workflows to drive people through our system, give them more information. And each time they engage with us, we get that a little bit more information, so we can be more and more targeted about the information we send out to them in the marketing that we get them to engage with. I mentioned the social media. Not only does it help us schedule and automate all of our social media postings, we can actually monitor what people are doing or saying about us as well on the same page. So you can set up all these streams, find out what people are saying about Aptuit, we can find out what people are saying about our competitors as well. You get that all in one nice handy little module. As I say, we've built our website on the HubSpot COS. What that allows us to do is to have an end-to-end visibility of people who visit our website. We can see what pages they're visiting, how long they're on them for, how often they come back. We can see practically everything they're doing. One of the beauties about HubSpot, and I don't know if you know this just now, is where HubSpot differs from Google. Google gives you general information. It'll say 30 people visited this page. Unless someone downloads something from your website on your landing page using one of your forms, that's all the information you're going to get as well. 20 people visited your website. As soon as someone downloads information, you imagine from then on, you're going to get information about them. But the beauty of HubSpot is, if someone's visited your webpage 50 times before they download something, HubSpot's dropped a cookie down there. So as soon as they download that form, it goes fills in all that information, shows you how that person has interacted with your website before they've decided to download something. So that's how we get a lot of information about our people as well. We know that company X has visited our site 20 times in the last week. So they're obviously investigating something. Fill out a form, suddenly find out who it is. We get a lot more information about them. The next thing, we mentioned lead scoring earlier on, and unfortunately we haven't had the resource to fully implement lead scoring. We'd started it in my previous company, but we haven't had the opportunity this time around. Lead scoring on HubSpot is absolutely amazing. It's great. You can score people in 2 different forms. You can score them on data and you can score them on behaviour. When people fill out forms, the questions you ask, you can score everyone on. So for talking sake, if someone puts their job title down as a buyer, we're going to score that person far higher than if they say I'm a student. If they say they're a CSO, they may get a higher score than they say if they're a lab tech. We may score particular companies higher than others. We might score particular countries higher than others. So you can score on all that data. It's really useful. But brilliantly, you can score people on their behaviour. So if someone has visited your website 3 times today, or visit a particular page on a number of occasions over a period, you can give them a particular score. And all of that just adds to your comfort level of, is this a warm lead? Is this someone who's just, I'm bored at lunchtime, I'm going to have a look at this website again? All the way through to, this is a really hot lead. I can tell that this person's looked at it. I can also tell that 3 other people from his company have looked at it. So it gives us that information. We can pass that to our sales guys and say, look, this is a hot lead. So when we used inbound and HubSpot in anger, this is the slide that you saw earlier. This is what happens when you do inbound marketing properly. When you optimize everything, when you're distributing it to the right channels, when you're creating interesting content. You can see organic search. Back here, no organic search, so no one was finding our website. As soon as we start optimizing things, as soon as we start using it properly, it goes through the roof. I wanted to mention this earlier on. We talk about email and how email is diminishing. Email for us is actually still quite an important tool, and you'll still get a lot of results, but only if you do your inbound marketing properly. And it's back to the old school as well. As long as you're targeting people, the correct people, you will get a better result. And that's what doing all of this stuff allowed us to do. Put people into buckets, smaller and smaller buckets. So we knew that when we were sending stuff to them, we were sending stuff that they were genuinely interested in. They'd already told us they were interested in it because they clicked a button. So, yep, I'm interested in this, sending stuff. So you can see the massive change in numbers there. It's quite significant. So you can see everything is just constantly going up the way. But the next slide I wanted to show you, we mentioned this earlier on about the longevity of things. HubSpot are using stuff that's still giving them leads after 7 months. This is our drug discovery ebook that was launched November 25 of last year. 6 months later, that's still generating leads, even though we're not doing anything with it now. It's just out there. We're not actively promoting it. We're not sending emails out. We're not really doing too much on social media about it. I think there's about 1 post that goes out every month that says it's still there. But you can see that's not plateauing. That's just continuing to go out there. So you create stuff, you put it out there. If it's properly optimized, if it's interesting enough, it's going to continue generating leads for you. So that's more or less everything I've got to say. So just in summary, do a marketing audit, find out what you've got. Everything that I've talked about today, you don't actually need these guys. I'm lucky that I had a budget to do this and I could go out and get these guys. We wanted to accelerate what we did, so we brought them in, and they're good at what they do. But if you don't have the budget, and I know that not everyone does, you can do this yourself. It just takes longer. Set your objectives, know exactly what you're going to try and do. Always remember, people come to you anyway because of the people that you employ, people that do your work. They're experts. Otherwise, they're not going to come to you. They're going to go somewhere else. Your experts are your best source of content. They know your business. Use an agency if you can. Some people are lucky. I was. Let both the agency, let HubSpot do all the heavy lifting for you. Use landing pages and forms wisely. Build them so that people are encouraged to press that button to give you that information. And as I said earlier, remember, you've got the right to ask for that information. And optimize everything. Optimization is will get people who don't know you onto your pages. And that's me.